There's an old saying, and I can't remember it verbatim. I would imagine that it comes from the Bible, not only because it sounds biblical, but it's also filled with wisdom. The saying goes something like, "What good is having all the money in the world if it costs you your soul?" Basically, it's telling you that it's not worth selling your integrity, it's not worth selling your values for a dollar. Now, of course, in order to follow this good advice, you first have to have integrity and values, something that Jen Psaki definitely lacking. Jen Psaki. Little Red Riding Hood. Circle back, Jen Psaki. What is it with these redheads and a complete lack of integrity? We've got Big Red on The View, Joy Behar. She makes up for her lack of integrity by injecting her face with plastic. But even with all those injections, poor Joy still can't attract plastic kin. Then, we have Little Red on MSNBC. If you're going into the business of lying, if you're going into the business of manipulation, there are two characteristics that you've got to have. They're required. Neither one of them can be taught. You either have it or you don't. First, you got to have charisma. And second, you need believability. You need to possess the skills to convince people that what you're saying is the truth, even when they know you're lying. Unfortunately for Jen Psaki, she not only lacks integrity and values, she also lacks charisma and believability. But that's okay. That's okay. Because Jen Psaki does possess the only thing that matters at MSNBC and throughout the rest of the mainstream media. Jen Psaki is in possession of a platinum membership to Woke United Methodist. Now, platinum membership, it gives you privileges that aren't available to us normal people. For example, when the state of California eventually bans the sale of gas-powered vehicles, normal people like you and me, we're going to be forced to ride bikes or utilize the old-fashioned method of transportation, feet. Well, Casey, what about a horse? They could ride a horse. No, you see, scientists, they have proven that horses very, very bad for the environment. Their flatulence is extremely dangerous and the wind could spread wildfires. Now, while normal people are building their leg muscles by walking to their destination, platinum members like Jen Psaki, they will still be allowed to travel via SUV or private jet. Platinum membership, it also gives you the privilege of collecting woke welfare at a job that you have not earned. The career trajectory in the mainstream media of Jen Psaki, it can only be rivaled by the trajectories of Bomani Jones and Mina Kimes. Yesterday, MSNBC made an exciting announcement. The mainstream news cycle, it is going to be extremely busy with the presidential election over the next 13 or 14 months. With Donald Trump, Orange Man bad. With Donald Trump leading the polls, MSNBC, they needed someone in prime time who could fabricate myths and fairy tales about the Orange Man and deliver that propaganda to normal people. Now, obviously, this disqualifies Joy Reid. Kind of hard to get normal people to believe you when you're constantly accusing them of mythical racism. Now, Rachel Maddow would be an excellent choice, but she only wants to show up to work 1 day a week. The other 4 days, she's busy at the barber shop perfecting her masculine haircut. Executives at MSNBC, they look through their roster of propagandists, trying to find the perfect candidate to deliver their perfectly crafted fairy tales. They needed someone who didn't mind lying. They needed someone who enjoys creating fantastical stories. They also needed someone who was capable of drawing ratings, which is why I was incredibly confused when MSNBC selected Jen Psaki. For starters, this is not your typical career trajectory in cable news. Normally, we don't see people with less than a year of experience hosting a show on weekends rapidly promoted to the big leagues primetime cable news. For example, Caitlin Collins at CNN. Katie Roo! Katie Roo! Katie Roo started as a White House correspondent covering Donald Trump. She was responsible for poking the orange and trying to get a reaction out of him. She was then promoted to CNN This Morning, where, for some delusional reason, Katie Roo thought that she was going to be the star of the show. After months and months of huge embarrassing failure, Katie Roo was then promoted to prime time, where she continues to embarrass herself on a nightly basis. That's your typical career path in cable news. You spend years in the business before being elevated to prime time. Not Jen Psaki, though. No. Little Red is a star. She's got influence. Influence? Influence over who? The vast majority of her viewers watch the show on mute so her voice doesn't cause an interruption while they're spanking the wanker. For months now, the mainstream media has been touting the supposed rating success of Little Red. These ratings are amazing! First of all, have you guys ever watched this show? It doesn't look like a cable news program. It looks like Jen Psaki is giving her audience lessons in the fine art of kung fu. She moves her arms around so much when she's talking, I don't know if she's trying to make a point or surprise the cameraman with a stiff chop to the face. And number two, I don't know where the media is getting their ratings from, but these ratings are far from what I would call amazing. According to the media, Little Red, riding the hood of an electric vehicle, she averaged 931,000 viewers last month. Well, that's just great! 931,000? That means Jen Psaki is beating Fox News. Well, Casey, what about CNN? Well, obviously she's beating CNN. Hell, everyone beats CNN. If I remember correctly, the brilliant minds at CNN, they moved Chris Wallace to Sunday morning to compete with Jen Psaki. It was either Wallace, Chrissy, or some other huge embarrassing failure. Now, for those that don't know, the man with two first names, he does these painfully boring celebrity interviews on Sunday mornings on CNN. Who's talking to Chris Wallace? A better question would be, who gives a fuck about Chris Wallace? The answer, of course, is no one. Anyway, it appears that the mainstream media was right. Those ratings for Jen Psaki, circle back, circle side to side, let the propaganda fly. Those ratings are amazing. If they were true. Since I don't trust the mainstream media, I did some of my own research. Ever since Showbuzz Daily shut down, it has been incredibly difficult to find a consistent source for television ratings, but I do have a couple of sources that I rely on. According to Spoiler TV, Jen Psaki averaged 860,000 viewers in the month of August. Now that is significantly less than the media is reporting, but 860, that's still a good number. One of the sources, though, that I trust the most for TV ratings, it's called the U.S. Television Database. Now, I'm about to show you this chart, but I want to give you full transparency here. The ratings I'm about to show you, these are drastically less than what the mainstream media is reporting. So, I don't know if these ratings I'm about to show you are 100% accurate, but I'm going to show you anyway, and I'll let you decide. Check it out for yourself. Now, this shows her ratings from her debut episode in March to the final week of August. Are you noticing a trend here? According to the U.S. Television Database, Jen Psaki averaged just over 600,000 viewers last month. In the key 25 to 54 demo, she only averaged 60,000. Huge, embarrassing failure. Now again, these numbers are drastically different than what the mainstream media is reporting, so take that for what it's worth. You can decide what you believe to be true. Either way, when it comes to the promotion of Jen Psaki to primetime Monday nights at MSNBC, the ratings really do not matter because Jen Psaki was not promoted based on her ability to draw an audience. Jen Psaki wasn't promoted based on her experience hosting a show in cable news, which is minimal. MSNBC promoted Jen Psaki based on her ability to lie. There are huge ramifications in the 2024 election, and MSNBC, they needed someone in prime time, even if it's only one night a week. MSNBC needed someone in prime time who was skilled at delivering propaganda. And you can make a strong case, no one is better at delivering lies than Jen Psaki. The problem, of course, she always gets caught. Last month, Jen Psaki sent out a tweet that was viewed over 19 million times. The tweet was rather simple. All it said was, "No one supports abortion up until birth." Well, that's strange. When Jen Psaki was the White House press secretary, her fearless leader, her boss, John Biden, he was trying to get a bill passed that was called the Women's Health Protection Act. Guess what was included in Section 4 of that bill? Language that permitted abortion up until birth. Back in 2021, Jen Psaki, she even released a statement criticizing Republicans for refusing to get behind the bill. So, I'm kind of confused. When Little Red says no one supports abortion up until birth, when it seems that she does. Remember when John Biden pulled our troops from Afghanistan? Remember that disaster? Shortly after, there was a leaked phone call of John Biden talking to the president of Afghanistan weeks before he withdrew our troops. They told Johnny B. Biden, the situation was dire. The army in Afghanistan was falling apart, and the Taliban would take over if American troops left. A few weeks later, Johnny B. Biden withdraws the troops while also giving away billions of dollars of military equipment to the Taliban. Jen Psaki consistently lied about this phone conversation. She claimed that the Biden administration had no knowledge of the state of the Afghan army, even though Johnny B. Biden was told about it. Finally, in September 2021, Jen Psaki just outright refused to answer questions about it. What about her dozens and dozens of lies when it came to inflation? Jen Psaki blamed Vlad invading Ukraine for the skyrocketing inflation. 12 months earlier, she claimed it was transitory inflation. She also blamed Vlad for the rapid rise in oil and gas prices, when gas prices were already sky high before he invaded Ukraine. Do I need to keep going here? We could put together a compilation of clips that would last hours of all the lies told by Jen Psaki. And that is the reason MSNBC promoted her to Primetime. Whatever you believe her ratings to be, I don't understand how Jen Psaki has an audience at all. If 100 people are watching her, that's 100 too many. I mean, seriously. Why would you waste your time watching someone who constantly lies to you? Jen Psaki thinks you're stupid. Jen Psaki believes that she knows better than you do. The truth is, Jen Psaki is a fraud. I highly doubt she comes up with her own research and material. Jen Psaki is paid to read someone else's lies off of a teleprompter. I just don't understand the appeal. Why would you watch someone who does nothing but lie to you? Give me your thoughts on this. MSNBC promotes Jen Psaki to Primetime. She'll be on every Monday night. Why do you think she was promoted? Wasn't based on experience. Depending on which ratings you believe, maybe it was based on ratings. Me personally, I think MSNBC promoted her based on her ability to lie. What about you? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.